Okay, so the next stage of the recipe is to make the glaze. Same spices that we use to braise the legs and the wings, okay, just to make our stock. So we have the cinnamon stick in there, we've got some fennel, we've got some cloves, we've got some coriander, we've got some star anise. We just get the pan on, okay. A little bit of heat in the pan. Really important that we toast our spices, okay. That's going to get them nice and fragrant. In here, I've done this already, so we've got some mandarin juice. We want about 200 mil or 200 grams of the mandarin juice, okay, so they've just been peeled down, segmented, and then just put through the juicer, okay, that's there, cool. So what we're going to do is basically toast off those spices, we'll start to smell them as well, okay, then we'll add our mandarin juice with a little touch of sugar. The last thing that we'll add to that is the hibiscus flowers, okay? So these are really, really fragrant, okay? That's just going to give like a little bit of brightness really to the glaze, okay? It is also going to turn that glaze quite dark as well, all right? So as soon as that duck comes out, we need to chill it down, so we're going to pop that into the blast chiller. It's very important that we do that. What needs to happen is the glaze needs to be really cold and the duck needs to be really cold. What we can't do is put the glaze onto really hot, onto a hot duck breast, because all it's just going to do is run off. What I've also realised as well, that if we have it too cold, the glaze also runs off as well. So once it's been chilled down, we'll then take it out, bring it back up to room temperature, okay? And then we'll apply the glaze. It's quite important as well that the glaze is quite well reduced. Okay, it is quite a sweet glaze, but we have other elements in the dish which kind of counteract that, balance it out with the saltiness. Okay, so while we're just waiting for those spices to toast, I'll just take you on to the next element, which is the spring roll. So after we've braised our legs and our wings, we will then remove the legs and wings. We'll then remove the skin, okay, and we'll just pick that meat down, okay, so we've got like some nice dark meat there. That'll be picked down. We'll then take that stock from there, reduce it down, okay. We'll add some aromats to that, as well as a little bit of soy sauce and a few spices. Okay, so just going back to that, these are nicely toasted off. We can now add our mandarin juice, okay. The other thing we want to do, mandarin is also quite sweet, so we are going to add just a little touch of sugar, okay, but not too much. What we now want to do is bring that up to oil. We've also got 2 pieces of stem ginger here, and about 2 tablespoons of syrup as well. So again, you'll notice I didn't add too much sugar to that. That's because there's a lot of sugar in here. Okay, so that goes in also. We just leave that to do its thing. When we get sort of halfway with the reduction, we'll then add our hibiscus flowers to it as well, okay? So back to the leg spring roll. So we have our stock, our braising liquid, or stock. We've then taken that out, reduced it down. You'll see that I've chilled that down, it's got to a sort of jelly texture, okay? To make the filling for the spring roll, we are going to add our braised meat, okay, picked down. Just be aware as well, guys, you don't really want any skin in there. And the other thing you don't want is bones, okay? So especially the legs, you get some very thin bones in there, which you just need to be careful, make sure they don't go into the mix. And then, if I can find a spoon. Okay, not too much of an issue. A little bit of our reduced stock goes in as well. We can then pop that into the heat. That'll just slowly melt down. The stock has got some soy sauce in there as well, okay? So there was no added salt to it, okay? Obviously the salty element is already from the soy sauce. So that'll slowly melt down. While we're waiting for that, we're just going to take some spring onions. We'll fold this through towards the end, okay? So green part can go in. A few spring onions. And we've also got some coriander as well, so we can pick this down. It's not too much of a problem if you've got a few stalks in there as well. So our glaze is reducing down nice and slowly there. Like I say, once it gets to halfway, we'll then add the hibiscus flowers. That's going to give it like that nice red colour as well. So coriander, just cut through it once, really important. We don't want to just be hacking away at this. All the flavour is just going to leak out and it's just going to end up on the board. We want it to be in the spring roll, okay? You could also add a few other vegetables to it, so you could add some bean sprouts, you could add some carrots, okay? The stock's quite rich, so I don't really want to be adding too much more to it. Wonderful. Okay, just to talk you through a couple of other things as well. So some of our garnishes, we have some cucumber, okay? So quite a nice thing to do with cucumber. Obviously it can be quite bland just on its own. What I've done is taken a whole cucumber, I've peeled it down, I've put those peelings into the blender with some lime juice and some coriander, okay? And a few spring onions and some sugar and a little bit of stem ginger. So almost made almost like a stock syrup really. Then I've taken the cucumber, I've used a melon baller just to ball it out, as you can see here, okay? And then I've compressed that cucumber in that cucumber juice with the lime, coriander, ginger in it, okay? And then the second thing I've got here is some pickled daikon, or also known as mooli, okay, which is basically Japanese Chinese radish. With that, sliced it down, okay, and then pickled that in some red wine vinegar. There's some coriander seeds in there as well, and some fennel seeds, some sugar. So you've got like a nice sweet element there. You've got like a nice tangy tangy flavour with the pickles as well. Okay, cool. So we're nearly there with the glaze. So our hibiscus flowers, okay, it's quite a few there. We can pop that in. Okay, so you already start to notice, okay, so what was quite orange, that hibiscus has now really dyed that to like that nice red colour. It's starting to smell really fragrant as well. It's just a case of getting that reduced down as much as possible. We'll get to a point with that where it'll become quite thick, and then when we have to pass it, it's going to be quite difficult. So in the next few minutes, it's probably best to take those aromatics out, okay, so you're just purely left with the liquid, okay? And then eventually what you'll end up with is what I made earlier, okay, which is the glaze there, okay? So as you can see, this one has been reduced right down, it's then been chilled. This has actually come up to room temperature a little bit, so it is a little bit liquidy, if you like, okay? But that there is then ready to go onto the glaze, onto the duck.